Welcome back to this Blender for Beginners tutorial series. In our last part, we worked on this vanity, which is kind of the centerpiece of our scene. In this video, we're going to be making a window for light to enter our scene. So let's start by creating a new collection, and that's going to be called Window. Let's hide the vanity, go in the front view, and we'll start by making some blinds for our window. So let's create a plane, and let's bring up our attributes, our transform menu on the side. Let's make this 0.7 in width, 0.05254 I think is about an inch. And Control A, apply our rotation and scale. Now these have rounded ends and kind of a curve to them along the length. So what we can do is add Control R, not R, 3 cuts there, add one in the middle, and let's just delete 1/2 of it. And then we can take these, edge slide with double tapping G, same with these. That's pretty good, and let's move this up on the Z and the 2 beside it on the Z. There we go. That's a pretty good looking slat for our blinds. Let's hit Control A again. I'm not sure our rotation and scale was applied. We want to give it a mirror modifier. That's what was throwing me off. I thought my proportions were very wrong. That was because we were missing half of it. That would be why. So let's add a solidify, and that's going to be 0.001, not 001. There we go. And we'll add a subdivision surface modifier with Control 1 or Control 2. I went with 1 subdivision. You can change it up if you want to, but I don't think we really need to add a whole lot of geometry to these because they're going to be blown out by the light basically, and detail will not be visible on them. So let's bring an edge out here, and let's justify this to an edge by hitting E, and that makes it straight. Few more loop cuts. Alright. Now, let's select this and this. We need to make the holes in our blinds for strings to go through. Once you have those selected, go into object mode, and on mirror, apply. Now, without selecting anything else, zoom in a little, Control B, we're going to bevel the places where we want the holes, inset them, delete the faces, and there it is. Let's add an array modifier. And we don't want relative. It'll work, but that's not what we're doing with it. Constant offset lets us measure. We want 0 on the X and Y, and we want a negative 0.02. Not sure what happened there. Oh, I'm hitting an extra key. There we go. Let's go on the, yeah, positive is fine. Let's put 75 of these in there. And that's pretty good dimensions, I think. These are all the way open. Let's turn them a little bit. So from side view, go into edit, select all, and rotate. That looks pretty good. Now, something else we can do is we can put the strings in here. That'll add just that little bit of detail that you can see that there's a string there. There's not going to be a whole lot of detail in it. Let's turn off the array for the time being. Top view. We're going to add our strings. So Shift A, cube, scale that all the way down to fit in here. And take the top and bottom faces. Delete those faces and apply a Subdivision Surface modifier. Just one subdivision is fine. Make it shade smooth. And in edit mode, select everything and duplicate it on the Y. And do that again. All right. Now we need to duplicate all of that on X. Centered enough. These are not engineering drawings, so we're not going to worry about it too much. Let's add an array to this as well. And we're going to make it the same distance as our other one, as the one for our blinds. 0.02. Let's Control A, rotation and scale. We want this to merge so that we can make some strings here. So let's take the top ring, move that up until they merge. Good enough. Now I only did that with one edge, so let's undo that. All the top edges. G, Z, and let's turn on our modifiers here so we can see what's going on. Let's give this 75 as well. See if that lines up well enough. Let's give it an extra. Bring that down there. And it should extend past the top like that. So that is looking pretty good. Now let's add our trim. We're going to keep our cursor where it is, add a plane, face the view, and in edit mode, scale that down only on the X. And move that up here, scale on the Z. Alright, now let's give that a mirror, because this is going to be on both sides, obviously, because it makes up the window frame. They could be a little wider, maybe. I'll go with the way it is. Let's give that 2 cuts with Control R, scale on the X. Two more. And we'll scale those on the X a little bit more narrow than those. It looks like about half, actually. So I'm not seeing it. Oh, there we go. G on the Y. There we go. Let's give it one more cut right down the center. And we're going to move this out on the Y fairly far and bevel it a few times. Select all your vertices and merge by distance. There we go. Now let's take all of our edge faces as well as these are going to have to be beveled. We're going to use a bevel modifier to do that, so let's just mark them. And now only select the border faces. Extrude on the Y, scale to 0 on the Y. That might be a little thick. That looks all right. So let's mark our edges as well, because we don't want those to round out either. Okay, so shade smooth. Give them a bevel modifier, and we want that bevel modifier to be governed by the weight. And the bevel modifier should be first as well. And we're going to give this 2 segments and a 0.001, I believe. Looks pretty good. Alright, now back in edit mode, we want to select everything. No. Fill the back first. Control F, grid fill. Now we'll select everything. Now make sure you're in front view, and let's turn off our bevel just for the time being, because we want to enable snapping and we don't want it to be snapping to imaginary vertices. So Shift D, rotate 90 degrees, move that up here, and we want to be able to see these faces here and delete them. So Control L again on one of these, and ensure that the mirror has clipping enabled so that when we move it on the X, they can't go past. And we can snap here. They should meet up, but we don't want them we don't want to merge them anymore. All right. Re-enable this so that we can see what we've got. That looks pretty good for trim. Let's put our cursor up here, Shift A, and let's give ourselves a plane. Whoa. There we go. And we're going to, you know what, let's turn off our bevel over here again so that we have the exact faces, and move the whole thing here. Grab this, move there, this face, move there. And we can take the entire thing and extrude to the front. Now, in front view, give this 1, 2, 3 in both directions. Delete that center. Now we have this ring. We want to right click, use our loop tools to get a circle. Bring that up to about there. E on the Y. E and scale. We want to turn our snapping off. It's kind of getting in the way of this. And extrude again on the Y. I'm kind of just looking at this from an artistic eye. I'm not actually going off any kind of reference image or anything. Snapping is getting in the way. Okay. Okay, and let's put this, give us a loop cut here and make a ridge with it here, and Control B, making sure to constrain it, and Control L. Don't or all. This is its own object, and we want to merge by distance. And let's take all the faces, all the edges rather, that we need to be beveled. We're going to mark them as well. For a full bevel weight of 1. Now, let's give this a subdivision, and you'll see that it's just all mushy looking. So we need that bevel modifier, and we need to move it above subdivision so that it bevels before subdividing. And we have something looking kind of odd there. That is probably because we don't have enough segments. Now, what is going on? I think we may have normals that are not all facing the right direction. That may not be the case. Shift N recalculates normals. Alright, I did a little bit of troubleshooting here. The problem was that the limit method was angle. It was not using our weight that we had set. So now when we go around here, as we set the weight, that is where it will be beveled. So that looks pretty good. What I would want to do is scale this on every direction but the Y. Oh, so we have something that's not looking quite right. Alright, so I didn't have all the edges selected that we wanted. So let's scale again, excluding Y, and bring this out a little bit. And that is looking all right. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good there. We want to join that to our other object. We'll turn our beveling back on, and we did not apply a subdivision, so let's do that now. There we go. And we've got some wonky edges going on here. Some of the shading's not quite right. That is because we just don't have enough geometry. We're trying to smooth over long distances, and it's not working. That doesn't work out very well. So there we go. It could do with another edge here and here, but it'll add to the look of wood not matching up exactly in in our frame. So let's move this out. That looks pretty good. And what we are going to do is, from the back view, in face selection mode, select everything. Shift D to duplicate it, P to make that its own object. Go to object mode, select it, go to edit mode, and all of our vertices we want to merge. So A, merge by distance, and we don't need any of the, this is going to be the window casing, the actual frame. So any of these lengthwise edges, we can Control D to dissolve, and we do not need, aha, so that's interesting. It left behind some vertices. So let's move those somewhere where they can merge. And this move out here. This will move out here. And we will leave all our bevel markings where they are. We're going to extrude until we have kind of the thickness of a wall, because that's what this is going to be. As soon as we mark everything we need to for bevel, that is done. Don't know why I zoomed out so far. Let's go into local view on this. It looks like this edge did not get beveled. Yes, that is the problem. Now we need a window sill. So this is the last part. So the window sill is 2 pieces. We're going to take our cursor, put it right there, Shift A, and we're going to put a cube here. Scale it down, scale on the X. Let's turn our snapping back on, and go right there. Control R. Now we want to put our cursor there and scale to the cursor. Or rather, yes, we want to scale these on the X to the cursor so that we can now set our center of our object right there. So take those faces, this face, delete the faces, Shift S, cursor to selected, right click, set origin to 3D cursor. Now that's the center of our object, and we can add our, we're actually going to copy all of the modifiers from this object, or the frame, whichever works for you, whichever gets clicked first, right? So Control L to link data, and we're going to link the modifiers. So we have the same modifiers, and our bevel is set to weight. Yeah, everything should be exactly the same. And what we will do is take this bottom piece and move that up on the Z till it's about there. Alright, so I made an interesting mistake there. When we copied over our modifiers. I did not deselect the other object before going back into edit mode. So if you're wondering what's going on there, that is what's going on. 3 cuts. We're going to round out this front again, just like we did with the trim portions. If I can hit the right keys, I might be able to instruct you correctly. Alright, now let's move this back here. And this center does not need a bevel. Right there. Put on smooth. There we go. We want more of a sill than that. And we'll have it extend a little bit past the trim. And perhaps, yeah, let's give this a curve that matches the front, or close to it anyway. So turn on snapping. Let's bring it up to the same altitude or the same z coordinates, and we'll take this, G on the X, not too shabby. All right, so we do need to bring that in on the X a little bit because that gives it a strange kind of look. It's not beveled much at all, but oh well. So let's do that one more time for the little lip that goes under the sill. If you've ever looked at antique windows and doors, they have all these kind of decorative pieces, and I think that looks really good for this scene. We're doing basically the same thing we did up here. We're going to bring that forward, and then on the Y, we're going to snap to here because it would meet the wall, and on the Z, there we go. So turning off snapping, I'm going to go to here. And bring this on the Y back to about there. 2 loop cuts and take this front. We're basically making the profile of it right now. And this we'll bring over on the X a bit. There we go. And let's do some marking of our edges. I'm trying to decide what I actually want to bevel here. Link our data again, modifier data. And smooth that out. Yes, we want this edge to have a bevel. Or I do anyway. And not that one. And there we have our window. Is that large enough under there? Maybe not. So what we can do is just grab the bottom edge and go into proportional editing, G, Z, and that is our window. We should just take all these and join them together as one object, and these we should parent. Alright, and the same goes for our string. That should parent as well. And after you've named everything, save your file, and we can start thinking about laying out our room, the floor plan, that kind of thing. I already have one in mind, which will bring us to the final scene that we can arrange all of our objects in. And blings, that's good. And we can start putting materials on things and lighting and coming to our final scene. So save your file, and I will see you in the next video. Hey guys, if you found this video useful, hit like and consider subscribing to the channel. And you can turn on that notification bell too so that you don't miss future videos. Until next time, I'm Carl with Blender Forge.